Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of my opinion that nobody asked for. So, on Saturday, Neckbeard over at Douglas County Republicans posted this Pew poll. Um, and he starts it off with this should be concerning to every American. A recent Gallup poll found that 92% of Republicans are proud to be an American, and the Democratic number is just 36%. And he goes on to say, you don't have to agree with everybody, but if we lose pride in America itself, we lose the desire to protect it, improvement, and pass on stronger than we found it. My response to that is, what the fuck? Seriously. No. People being dissatisfied with their government and the state of things are what drives people to make changes. So his point is this is bad. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think it's bad for Republicans. In the comments to this, somebody said being a proud American and being proud of your government are two different things, which is true. His response was, well, good thing the poll was about being proud to be an American. Yeah. I don't like polls like this because I think any question like this really depends on interpretation. And I always hated polls for this because they'll say something like, are you they'll ask like Dems, are you satisfied with Democratic Party, right? And they say no because the Democratic Party isn't doing enough, not because of what they did, right? So the poll looks like a bunch of Democrats are mad at the Democratic Party, like don't support them, when in fact they're mad because they're not doing enough. But they can twist the poll to look like, oh, they don't like all the stuff that the Democrats are doing, right? So I mean that could be twisted, and that's what's happening here, right? It's interpretation of the question. So you go to the poll, and it talks about U.S. adults' pride in being an American. Um, so extremely proud is 41%. Very proud, 17%. So then it comes up, to only 58% of people are proud. I say only 58. I mean, it's over half. Look at it being proud. You look by party. Yes, Republicans are up to 92. Democrats are down to 36. But independents are only at 53%. So this isn't a Democrat view. Only 53% are. But then you go back to 2015 and what? Almost over 70%. I mean, it didn't drop below 70% on independents until what, 2018? So during, first first term of Trump, is when it started really hitting independents. But they're down to 53%. This is where I say I think this whole survey is bad for Republicans, not bad for the country. Because 38% of Democrats, I agree, 53% of independents. That's going to be the problem for Republicans. They know it, but they're trying to twist this. By birth, I mean, look at this. Only 41% of Gen Z, 58% of millennials. And then the highest, of course, you get up to the greatest generation and baby boomers. We're up over 75%. Even Gen X is over 70%, which I find surprising as a Gen Xer. There's always more behind this. So you dig into another poll from Gallup, and it's a state of the nation. This one, they go and they ask, how's your satisfaction on 31 different aspects of U.S. society or policy? And the satisfaction is only at 38%, are satisfied with all aspects, which, I mean, granted, I'm surprised it's that high with all aspects, because who agrees with everything going on, right? So that's one that I find weird, a weird statistic. But anyway, you get into this. I mean, you look at mostly satisfied. It's people over 50% satisfaction is what? Military strength and preparedness. And I think that's an interesting one from both sides, because I think Democrats don't want it bigger, but Republicans are going to want it bigger. I'm not sure I have the slide here. It does break it down in the study by party onto each thing. And I don't, like I said, I don't think I have that one, but I'll just see if I have it. But overall quality of life, people are generally positive. Position of women, um, they're mixed on influence of organized religion. Um, Again, these all go so many ways, right? You can read deep into there what's going on. Position of Black and other racial minority people in the nation. I don't know how it's not over 50% dissatisfied with this stuff. But anyway, you get into the mostly dissatisfied. These are all over 50% dissatisfied. Quality of medical care, the role of the U.S. in world affairs, right? Medicare, Social Security, state of race relations, um, quality, you get down to the bottom, quality of public education, the moral and ethical climate, 78% dissatisfied. The worst is the nation's efforts to deal with poverty and homelessness. 80% are dissatisfied with that on a majority of things. And that's what goes into that question. Are you proud to be an American? We get into one of the other, and somebody on there said, Europe mocks MAGA and Trump. USA is less trusted than Iran on international polls and the least favored nation globally outside of North Korea. I don't know what study they're referencing here. I found one that gets us close, that kind of shows some of this data. It doesn't go, it's not this study, so I don't know, again, what it is. And then Douglas County Republicans are like, oh, trust me, bro. Like they're going to pretend like we're loved around the world, right? It's like, fuck off, neckbeard. We're not loved around the world. So you get into the study. This is the perception of countries around the world. At the top, you have Switzerland. Canada is number 2, Japan number 3, Sweden number 4, Italy number 5. Oh, try to find the US. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Go all the way to the bottom 5. Iraq. Is Russia. I mean, look who's above us here. Okay. We got Venezuela is above us, Pakistan, Syria, Russia is above us, Iraq is above us. And then you get to the United States. And only worst perception right now, according to this study, than us is Iran, Afghanistan, North Korea, and Israel. Israel has the least net perception in this study around the world. My take on this, like I said, I think this is ultimately bad news for Republicans. I think that when, come the end of the year in November and then in 2028, I think this dissatisfaction amongst Democrats is going to motivate them. And all that. So my final thoughts on it is I think when people are asked, are you proud to be an American? For me, what it comes down to is if I went to Europe today and landed and I was sitting in a cafe and somebody asked me where I was from, would I be proud to say I'm from the United States of America? Or would I be a little bit hesitant to say I'm from the United States of America right now? I'm a veteran and I served this country. I've given, I did my part. I would do it again. There's a difference, right? That's where I don't like this question, are you proud to be an American? Because I think it's a loaded question. And the white nationalist party, of course, consistently answers they're proud because it's nationalism and not patriotism, which is what I kind of wanted to get into a little bit at the end of this. Patriotism is a love for your country and the people. Nationalism, we get into, it's an ideology, that feels like our nation is superior to all others and, want state power and culture dominance, which is what the white nationalist party right now wants to do. That's exactly what is going on. And for there to be patriotism, you need to have dedication to the values, liberty, justice, equality, and you want to improve, address its flaws, and be the best version, right? And you view the U.S. as in a community of nations, and you can be patriotic and be behind the USA and not hate or demean other countries. And we get on the flip side of that, nationalism, and it's that pride, it's that belief that our nation state must be promoted above everything else, and that we're better, we're virtuous, we're superior to every other nation, and you have to have loyalty and unity. And they view nationalists, are going to view any criticism of the United States as an insult or an act of betrayal. Hence, look at this story. Look at this, what they wrote. And nationalists are going to divide the country into us versus them, which can lead for us to be isolated, excluded from things, hostility towards other countries or minority groups within our own country. Sound familiar? George Orwell said that, patriotism is defensive and nationalism is obsessed with power, prestige, and constant competition. And that's kind of where they're at. So, anyway, my take, this is bad for them. What do you guys think? Let us know. Thanks.